And so for me, it's almost seems like a pattern. And then maybe it makes sense that how did your position come about to become, the first female coach in Major League Baseball? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah, it was something I didn't know existed until um, after I accepted the role.
Yeah.
And it, like all the women that I just mentioned, I was having conversations with them and others, like, and men in the organization, and just people at all levels, like from, I talked with Larry and Farhan and Scott,
Yeah.
and like even like directors or former
Right.
managers and current manager at the time, just
Yeah.
about like their thoughts
This feel
on.
like did it feel like an interview process, or were people just checking in and seeing what you wanted to do next?
Oh yeah, I did not feel like an interview process, and it was more of me like knocking on the doors of people,
Oh, yeah.
like, hey, so I just wanted to see like what people thought of the future of the organization, and it was never really like to help me get a next step, even though
Hmm.
that was on my mind. I'd been in the same role for about 4 years, 5 years, and was ready to take that next step. But I just wanted to see like, okay, are these health and wellness initiatives really important to the organization, or are they not?
All
And
right.
that was kind of the question that started
That's
the
right.
me to have these conversations with different people. I just wanted to hear it from all levels of the organization, like what was most important to them and what
Hmm.
was something that wasn't getting done that needed to get done that maybe one day I could step into and
Right.
take care of. So yeah, I was never thinking about an on-field coaching role. I did not know it existed.
Right.
Obviously Bruce Bochy announced his retirement at the start of 2019, so we all knew that
Yeah.
end of 2019, like there was going to be probably a lot of changes on the field staff side and
That's right.
even the baseball operations um, front office side. And so I had that in the back of my mind as I was, talking with Larry, talking with Sarah, talking with Lisa, and but it was never like the main
What
focus.
yeah, you didn't know
Yeah,
what it was.
I
Yeah.
was just really curious as to like
Mm.
what these people loved in the roles that they were doing, what they
Yeah.
hated in the roles that they were doing, and um, kind of during that time, then I got a call from our vice president of baseball operations to come into a room and make a presentation on a project that they knew I had some familiarity with.
Hmm.
And I really knew, like, okay, I'm going to step into that room, and I know, like, Stacy will be in there, like our chief people officer. There was some pretty
Some
high
big
level.
peeps. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Farhan, our president of baseball ops, Scott Harris, our GM, and I know Gabe Kapler was just hired and was going to be kind of listening in on this
Right.
presentation, and Cap was just announced as our new manager.
Right.
Um, so I think, like in short, I kind of crushed that presentation and
Love
like
that. They're like,
real.
whoa, who was that?
And I think like regardless of the type of work that it was or what the project was about,
Yeah.
what Farhan, Scott, and Gabe saw was like, oh, this girl is thorough. And like you
Hmm.
give her a project and a challenge and she takes it on and takes it like to another level. Like
Right.
let's continue the conversations. And so I was just brought into more conversations and kind of about like Cap and his staff that he wanted to put together and his goals for the future of the organization from an on field play perspective, but also just other things that he's interested in baseball.
Yeah.
And it, again, still didn't know I was interviewing because I had that mentality like I did back like as a player, like
Yeah.
how can I help this team win? Like what can
Right.
I do to
How can I
help?
help you put these pieces together? Or is
Yeah,
there something you're missing that I can go do and work
yeah.
it out?
And it
Yeah.
was I was never searching for a title, but during like I guess you could call it like my tour of like going to all the executives' offices and like
Yeah.
asking what they thought of the future of baseball or the Giants.
Right.
I was taking notes of every conversation that I had,
Mm.
and I was able to put together like a 3-page document of basically what like a proposed role would be.
Yep.
Not necessarily like anything about like coaching, but just like bigger vision things
Oh,
and
that's amazing. We call
taking.
that in our organization managing up. You're like, let me tell you what you should be thinking about.
Yeah, and it's like, okay,
It's
how do
actually
I
sometimes a
work?
bit risky 'cause you're like, no, or you're right. Like,
Yeah,
you're
or
like
it's
you're
like
doing
no
someone's
to
job.
this, but yes to this, and can we go
Yeah.
farther in this direction?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. So it was that, and I don't think I've ever like showed anybody that document. I think I showed Stacy just because she's like a communications expert, and was really helping Cap um, during like his transition from Philly to San
Yeah.
Francisco. And then Cap and I started to talk, and then I would reference like that document because he was traveling at the time. It was around like Christmas last year, and so it wasn't
Yep.
like in-person interviews. It was like on the phone, and he was like across the world. And um so I would have that document like be talking to him when like he'd ask this question, and I'd be able to reference it
Yeah.
because I was looking at this document. And I think he was thinking, whoa, this girl's like really quick with her
Yeah.
words
How
and
does
like
she have all these answers? You're like, oh, it's because
I'm like, yeah, because for the past 3 months I've been like dreaming this up.
yeah.
But
So you were prepared more than
I,
anything. Yeah.
yeah, I was prepared, and I was just so ready for next step, and like inspired by the change that was happening in the organization. And it was,
Yeah.
I think, really good timing. Like I was ready to hopefully step back into the baseball side of things, and the baseball side of things at the organization was starting to change.
Yep.
And I think it helped, like I have a background in baseball operations, but also a background within this organization. And it was kind of like a really good,
Yeah.
fairly seamless transition from like the front office to the clubhouse.
That's the most ridiculous sentence ever, especially when you're the first female to do it. Um, but for me, when it came out to me, and I think the people that know you best, they're just, and I've said this earlier in the podcast in our conversation, was that we weren't that surprised. And I think it's because of what we've talked about, the flexibility and your way to work with organizations and what you bring to a team. And that is like a glue-like substance, Alyssa. And I don't know if it's glue, but it's almost just like amiable, but positive, and um, I would say, prepared is another one, thoughtful, all those different things. And I'm not trying to blow you up here because as a Giants fan, that's who I would want in my clubhouse. That's who, if as a Giants, whatever, it'd be like, that's who I would want on the staff, is because we know if you've been on great teams, it's those types of people that can gel a team, or days get long, spring training gets long, events get long, right? Like life is long,
Mhm.
pandemics are really long, and that's when you
Yeah.
want like those voices and that type of energy in a place of like creating something special. And so and that's when I was like, yep, that's not going to be a problem. um
Thank you.
uh,
That was really nice.
yeah, that's going to be good. And I meant it, and I was like, they're going to be so stoked. It's not even uh the players are going to get it too. Even if the ones I feel like that are where have been like, what the f,
Yeah.
like this girl can't hit a fastball, or whatever the stupid tweet was of the day, or like, oh, I'm glad she's going to be able to like teach Buster Posey good situational somethings. And it's like, then you have no idea what an entire team is built of. Like, I
Right.
don't think that's your job, and even if it was, you'd figure that out too. And that's just how it is. So I don't know, what was your reaction? Like, did you come in confident? Did you come in nervous? Did you come in what?
Oh, I came in like literally, what the hell just happened? Like, okay. Because again, like throughout the interview process, we weren't talking about like assistant coach. We weren't talking about title. It was like, where are there some holes, and where can somebody fill them? At first, I wasn't even talking about myself. I was talking
Right.
about like,
Maybe we'll have to go make a hire. or something
what
like
a
that.
really
Yeah.
good like addition to this staff would look like. And like,
Yeah.
this is it. And then Cap's like, all right, here's the job. Oh, and
It's
assistant
you.
coach. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So initial reaction is, well, one, like I was really excited to be taking the next step and
Wow.
really excited for the opportunity to work with Cap. I'm really
Yep.
inspired by his leadership, and I think whenever anybody takes a step forward in their career,
Hmm.
it's an exciting time, but there
It
comes
is.
a lot of doubt, a lot of like, can I do this? Am I equipped? I
Yep.
don't have enough experience, all the negative talk.
Yep.
Um, so it was a roller coaster of emotions, but at the end of it, it's like, okay, like congratulations, like I got this really awesome role, but now I have to go and figure out how to do this and make sure that like all of the other women that come
Yep.
after are just know like this is the norm, and then like what the
Yep.
norm is coming to work every single day, knowing your role, and always looking for ways to support the organization, the staff, the team in whatever way possible. Like, and that was my
Wow.
mindset, is my mindset now. But like, so that's the core. And then on the outside, there are days where it's like, ooh, this is really, really cool. Or this is kind of unbelievable. Like, I can't believe, like
I'm coaching
people,
first base.
yeah, totally. Or like, I'm sitting with Hall of Famers and
Right.
that sort of thing. And then there's also like, I've never coached at the major league level before. I've never coached at the minor league level before.
Right.
Nobody has ever done this before. Who am I to tell any one of these guys how to do something? It's all like the
Right.
negative talk. So, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have that talk
Yeah.
come
It's natural.
up often. But the core of it is I have a job to do, and I'm going to figure out a way to like be 1% better every single day and
Mm.
impact this organization like I promised.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I think that's such a great attitude to be honest with yourself, to be like, oh no, I got this. Or it's like whatever. Then you might not be coming in with the right with the right perspective, because there's a lot to learn every day, regardless of your position, your experience, your everything.
Totally. And I think that's where like confident humility comes into play, where
Mm.
you're humble enough to ask the questions of like what you don't know and ask questions, and then it's your responsibility to go out and like figure it out. And but then you have to also have the confidence that when you do know something or you do have a very strong opinion, you can come to the table or come to the dugout and say,
Yep.
here's what I think, and this is why.
Yep.
So often people can say like poke holes at something. I mean, really in any kind of industry, but particularly a sports industry. Um, and even like within the own organization, people can come to the table and try and poke holes at things, but a lot of times people don't have like the reasoning why to like
Right.
back up. They
There's
just
like,
kind of
this is stupid.
nitpick. Yeah. And
Right.
so I think where like you have to find the confidence is, okay, doing the research and then being able to state your opinion and then
Right.
back it up with your reasons why. But like that humility part is incredibly important too, to where it's okay to say, I don't know, or I'm going to figure it out. But
Right.
then it's on you to take the responsibility and go and figure it out so that you have the answers to all the questions that you've asked.
Amazing. How old are you?
30.
Damn, you beat me with that understanding by 8 years. I figured that out like a year and a half ago, and you've already got that page.
Well, it's funny. It's crazy to me that you say that because like you and Scott and just the whole like Soul Focus, Silverback, like Kyle, that
Yeah,
whole crew, like your vibe is that's I
we
ride
got
that
a great vibe. We've got a great vibe. We
vibe.
have a nice time,
Yeah. And I feel
but we
like
love excellence. We just want to produce great things.
and you guys do. And
Yeah,
I think like that should never be overlooked, is just can you be a really good person every single day? Like that should
right.
be step one. Step two is, okay, come to work and work really hard every day.
Yeah,
And, you know, everything else kind of,
it does seem to work out. I did read something this morning about, I think something on hustle.co or something like that. and it was about the way to become great is just by being good consistently. It's
Mm,
like goodness over and over and over and over, and it like it shows greatness eventually, or that creates greatness. It's just like this consistency of I guess performance. Like you don't have to hit the ball out of the park every single time. It's just like good swing, good approach, good approach, good approach, whatever it is every single
totally.
time.
It's
Living
like
principle.
the San Antonio Spurs, like one of their mottos or their like
Oh, they
values.
have a female. They have a female.
They do, coach. Yeah.
Is it Becky Harmon?
Hammond.
Hammond. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So their like slogan is pound the rock. And what that means is like, oh, don't quote me on this, but like I think a philosopher like once
Mm,
said, there's a guy like pounding this stone, pounding this rock a
yeah,
hundred times and it's not budging. But on the 101st like time, the
yeah.
whole thing crumbles. And it's not because of that one pound. It was like the consistent pounding,
Right.
those
It
100.
was all of them.
Yeah. So I think
Oh, I
that's
really
very
like
much
that.
in line with what you were just saying.
Yeah, I think so. Um, so you're the first female major league coach. Have any other women around the world or those of that you've respected in the past? Have you got any weird, cool outreach? Any DMs? Any like emails? Any like just people just wanting to reach out and to help or to congratulate you or anything like that? I'm always curious. It's a little inside baseball.
So I've so many, but
Yeah,
I think like the top or I think like the top people that reached out were like former teammates and family and
that's
like
cool.
former coworkers. That was just really cool. But like
Yeah.
Billie Jean King has tweeted
Wow.
a couple times, which like I don't think
Yeah.
I can still believe it.
It's pretty
um,
cool.
so that's cool. And like she's even commented on other posts that have been about me. So it's like, whoa,
Yeah. Like
that's cool.
defending you.
Yeah, defending and just like cheering on and
That's cool.
all that. Jessica Mendoza, I mean, I
Oh
looked
yeah.
at her as playing softball, and she and I were just talking right before I hopped on here
Oh my gosh.
an ESPN interview that we'll do later. And we had dinner together back in Scottsdale and just like sharing softball stories, right?
That's so
And then
great.
also sharing stories of like being in roles that have really never been done by women before.
Right.
That's just been a great resource and person to lean on. Jenny Finch, also softball
Oh yeah.
community, has shared some things. Nancy Pelosi tweeted or did a post on some sort of social media account
Yeah.
this, which was cool. And who else? Man, I was like 600 plus messages like when I first got hired. So
That's
I've
amazing.
saved them all, so I'll be able to like reflect on them like
That's
years
so cool.
or like on
Yeah.
bad days.
Yeah. And I mean, but I feel like you've kept a level head. It seems like you've kept somewhat of a low profile. Have you just been doing that on purpose? Have been like, well, I have a job to do, so I can't do both right now. I'm
Yeah.
not curious.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that, but that's ultimately it, right? Like, okay, I have a job to do. This is my job. Like, this is
Yeah.
cool, but I think if the goal, like one of the goals of all this is to make this the norm, like then we have to make this the norm.
Mm,
Can't be called the female coach every single time, but there's a part of it that's like, yes, I need to be called a female coach so that other females can see that this is possible and like
right.
girls don't hinder like what their thoughts or their dreams could be, so there's so many different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
And the way my approach is like come to work, get my job done, but also like maintain these and build and maintain these relationships that I'm making with this team. And
Hmm.
I need to know that I'm here to impact the organization, support them, support the rest of our staff, so that we can maintain like a winning tradition. And that's the goal,
Yeah.
you know. And so there's so much other stuff that comes with this role, like, and I need to do it, justice, right, for
Right.
like encouraging women to take these steps and making sure that I'm honoring all of the women and men that have helped pave this path.
Hmm.
But there's also this side of it that's like, I need to have the trust with the players of this current team as
Right.
well. And so I also think like my profiles remain pretty low
Hmm.
because we don't have fans in the stands
Yeah.
and like I'm not allowed to go anywhere. So like I just walked down to the grocery store like just down the street and I realized like this is the first time I've done this since like May.
Wow.
And because we have to like stay in lockdown. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like helped just
Hmm.
keep my
Yeah.
head level. Like I don't feel any different at all.
Right.
But I do think if we did have the 40,000 fans every single night, I'd feel a little bit different. But right now, it's like we're only focusing on the game. Like come game time, there's no other distractions,
That's really
behind
interesting. Yeah, it might even be a bonus, right? Like a good way to transition into the role to be like just staying laser focused because next year, hopefully, when we get all these fans back, yeah, exactly. Um, those girls are gonna want autographs, like they're gonna want those opportunities to take photos and to dream and to be you,
Yeah.
which is so wild.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
cool.
crazy. And that's an important piece and like I'm
Yeah,
super humbled by that, but
yeah,
and it's a huge responsibility too. But I think ultimately like the responsibility and the things that they'll see is okay, she shows up every single day like ready to
yeah.
work. She's consistent, like we talked about how important
Hmm.
consistency is. And also just consistent with her personality, with her mood. Like baseball's up and down. It is
Yeah.
a wild ride. And so I think what's really important, especially from coaches, is to maintain kind of like a consistency and
Hmm.
routine. And
Right.
sure, like there's ebbs and flows, but are you going to be the same person after like a 10 game losing streak as you are after a 10 game winning streak? And
Right.
I think, yes, that's who you need to be, the same
That's
person.
really interesting. That seems to be getting back to our idea of creating that like safe space or creating that psychological safety. So it's like that your happiness doesn't depend on this one thing on a win or loss too.
Yeah,
Um,
there's so much more that
yeah.
it goes on within an organization or a team or a clubhouse and the world, obviously.
um, how so the Giants are on a 6 game winning streak, if I'm not mistaken.
We
So
are.
that feels good, right? But
Yeah.
it's not everything. You're not over the top. How is it going this year? The experiences so far in your first year coaching. Any big takeaways? Uh,
Oh man, so a lot, but also like
Discipline is very different too. Yeah.
yeah, also like trying to keep it simple too.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much like getting this role of thinking of all the things that I don't know. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to come in and know everything so that I can prove my worth and
Right.
like
Right.
all this stuff and thinking, how am I going to do this? And just overwhelming. And some advice I got before I went down to Scottsdale for spring training was
Yep.
don't be the type of coach that you're not. Um,
Mm,
so that was really like just gave me some good perspective because it's
I
like,
love
okay,
that.
I'm not gonna try and be a Kai Correa who's our really intelligent bench coach.
Yep.
I'm gonna like maintain like be Alyssa Nakken and
Yep.
like learn every single day from Kai, but make sure that I stay within myself. And I
Yep.
think that's like the biggest takeaway
That's
is just
great.
yeah, staying like true to me, understanding what each player may need on any given day, and kind
Hmm.
of being able to individualize practices or pregame work as opposed to coming at it with like a cookie cutter approach. And I think that's important. And but overall, like the season's going well, even though it's been crazy with
Yeah.
a shutdown and the negotiation process was
No
pretty
kidding.
intense. And now this sprint of a 60 game season,
Yeah.
it's really fun. Like, and I think
Yeah.
it's from my understanding, the fans are enjoying it because they're so locked in. It's every single game
Yep.
counts. I mean, every
It's
game in
important.
162
Yeah,
games.
but it really, really counts. Yeah.
Yeah, you think about it, like losing. like one game is almost like losing a series in a regular
Yep.
season, you know? And so I think that that's really, I think that's good for the sport right now is
Hmm.
keeping that interest. So, um, yeah, I think those are the, but overall it's going well. There are, you know, it's a hard sport.
Yeah.
There are hard
The
days.
grind.
Yeah. And, you know, we had a losing streak at one point, and
Yeah.
that's really where it's like, okay, we need to come back to what our values are, what we stand for, consistency, and
Mm.
let's get through this and look to our left, look to our right. How can we support each other in this?
Mm.
Right. Let's come to the field and let's go to work.